If you're a duck, this flooded rice field is a welcome sight. It's a place to rest, find something to eat, socialize. From early fall through late spring, millions of waterfowl and shorebirds migrate through the Sacramento Valley along the Pacific Flyway. They've been flying this route for thousands of years.
Pre-settlement by the European Americans, this Central Valley would have essentially been a natural habitat. Up to about 1850, there were about somewhere between 3 to 4 million acres of natural wetlands in the Central Valley. Currently now we're down to about 250,000 acres, so that's about a 96% drop in natural wetlands in less than 200 years.
Around the turn of the 20th century, something else happened in this part of the valley. Agricultural production of rice began. Perhaps it's serendipity that 500,000 acres of ag land was dedicated to an aquatic plant.
This rice land that we're surrounded by here in this part of the valley has really become an essential, actually crucial surrogate for natural wetlands for these birds, because it provides not only safe refuge, but also a really important food source.
California state water officials announced this week they're considering new cuts in water supplies for agricultural and urban use.
The State Water Resources Control Board said it's considering allowing as much as 75% of Sacramento River flows to run through the delta and out to sea for the benefit of various fish populations.
So if as much as 75% of the water needs to stay in the river and not get flooded up out here, what happens to the birds? I'm trying to picture this view where 75% of the water's in the river. There's not going to be anything left to go out here. And right now I'm driving around, I'm seeing ducks, I'm seeing geese, I'm seeing shorebirds, sandhill cranes, all of them thriving out here in this flooded ground. But you're telling me for environmental reasons this water shouldn't be out here but should be in the river? How does that make any sense?
The water board seems to want to focus strictly on unimpaired flows because that's easy. They can just say, okay, we need more water, and they've been saying we need more water, we need more water.
You never really want to get caught in the position where you're trying to pit one resource, natural resource, against another. But I think there's no doubt that especially the anadromous fish populations have suffered. However, on the other hand, there's no denying the fact that the Central Valley, and especially the Sacramento Valley of California, are kind of the center of the universe for Pacific Flyway wintering waterfowl. These birds and all the other wetland-dependent species need to be considered as well.
The farmers have taken a lot of hits. They're not getting the water that the federal government promised, not a drop. They're getting only a small fraction.
Nothing the State Water Board has foreshadowed is set in stone. They say they want to research the topic, but they've also said they're considering leaving 35 to 75% of the water in the river. Right now it's about 25%. Any significant increase from 25% could be devastating to California agriculture.
The 75%, we don't know where that goes other than there's going to be huge amounts of fallow ground. You're going to have permanent crops that are going to die because they're not going to have water.
The problem is, for the last 20 years, the only program the Water Board has tried is to leave more water in the river, then more water and more water. And evidently that's not working since fish populations are continuing to struggle. So the State Board calls for more water again and again. If they continue with this strategy long enough, birds, farms, and communities will suffer from all the water lost to the river. At this point, it's safe to say the unimpaired flows concept has proven to be an ineffective approach, yet that's what the State Water Board continues to push.
I think this unimpaired flow concept, it's truly a dogma, and it's about a 20 or a 30-year-old dogma. And it's this idea that we just need to have more in-stream flows. We've dedicated probably 1.3 million acre feet of water into the Delta over the last 10 to 20 years on average annually. So 1.3 million acre feet of water is flowing into the Delta as outflow that didn't flow there 15 years ago. And what have we seen with the fish? The fish have declined.
And the situation in the Sacramento River is no different.
Our river system is pretty much just a conveyance facility, not a living environment like it used to be because of the dredging and the riprapping and so forth.
There's no food, there's no refuge, there's no safety. It's just the last place in the world that a fish ought to be living and surviving. And adding water to that is not going to help at all. We've, I think, seen that in the science. The lead scientist for the state of California has said that in so many words.
Perhaps the quantity of the water isn't the issue so much as the quality. So what can we do to create more of a food source in the river? Inland flooding could help with that.
This past year, we had water in our rice fields, and that water picks up organic matter, which you don't find in the river anymore. We took that water out of those rice fields, put it in a drain, and then drained it into the delta. And so we had an acre-foot of water that helped grow rice that went into the delta and provided food for the delta smelt.
That's a single volume of water that's being utilized for multiple functions. It helps decompose crop residue, provides flooded habitat for birds in the winter, and is re-injected back into the system rich in organic matter for fish to eat as it passes down the river and into the delta.
It's really using that kind of traditional floodplain to serve the purpose that it served, human nature, and that's, the water spread out, slowed down, photosynthesis did its thing out on the ground, and that's what produced the food for the fish, and we've lost that.
In short, that means all this winter flooding in the Sacramento Valley, which has proven to help the migratory bird populations thrive, could in theory be the perfect solution to the fish problem as well.
I think the new thinking says we ought to focus on out-of-stream strategies, spreading water out over the region. That's in fact what nature did in the Sacramento Valley. This valley was flooded during spring well into summer, depending on the year type. And I think we can try to mimic that, and I think again that's where the rice lands serve a really valuable purpose, the refuges, and I think some of the other lands can start kind of trying to mimic that with respect to fish as well. And I think everything we're seeing from the science is that could be really promising.
This is just one example of the new type of thinking that the regional water districts are pushing for the State Water Board to consider. What ultimately happens is up to them. More than anything, the time has come for the Water Board to recognize the failures of the Unimpaired Flow Program and to open their minds to new ideas.